This is the Eye for an Eye channel. Welcome to today's show. You got to see this story about a Google futurist who's telling us about what classrooms of the future will look like. They will include virtual reality lessons, downloadable knowledge, downloading things into your brain, and children will be DNA scanned for personalized lessons. And you know what that means when they're talking about DNA scans, right? Talking about something getting in your certain, right? In other words, talking about getting something inside of your body that has to do with your DNA and being able to edit it and manipulate it. Of course, those are things you can't talk about here because if you talk about truth here, you're censored. So speaking of which, I just want to let everybody know, yesterday I got a strike. I mentioned about a video I did on this channel that I put up over on the website, Uprising Revival. I also got another strike on my backup channel, Uprising Revival, which I'm sure most of you are subscribed to. So if you aren't sub to it, make sure you are, Uprising Revival. But I just built out a brand new channel. That's right, a brand new one. It's called United Uprising, because I am not going to lose this war. I am going to continue on. So 2 strikes in a day yesterday is definitely a first, because most of the time, if I get a strike, it means I can't upload for a week. These were both warning strikes because these channels are less than a month old. So I got 2 in the same day. One was for the Marina Abramovich video, which is up over on the website, about Ukraine, about, have they selected one of the most notorious witches on earth to be the ambassador of children? Of course they did. And the other one was about the weekend and this certain thing that they love to drink that comes out of the body of young people. Yeah, they love that. So that one got a strike for bullying before it could even go up. So both videos are available on the website, uprisingrevival.com, which I recommend you join if you haven't. But, and again, that's a way that we're all gonna be able to communicate with each other. If we're, that's a way we can stay in touch, is because I'll have your email. So when stuff goes down, I'll be able to send out email blasts. And I do send out emails updating on my channels, et cetera, et cetera. So I have this new channel. The link is below. It's the top link. But make sure you're subbed to both of those channels, because I am uploading on Uprising Revival, the backup channel. I'm putting up a lot of stuff that's been removed over the last 6 years. Okay, so even if you've seen it, you probably forget about it, and it's something you might want to watch. I'm keeping everything up for 7 days, then the videos come down and go on the website only. So definitely make sure you watch them while you have the chance. Okay, so let's look at this Google futurist story about what schools are going to look like. Now, it's pretty insane, right? I mean, we already know that what just happened with the outbreak is a predecessor for everything to be virtual. Everything's going to be online. This is obviously done by design. But the fact that they're now even telling you about your DNA and downloading things, which eventually leads to uploading your consciousness, of course. And I love where these Google futurists come out. Is this a job? Did anybody apply to become a Google futurist, right? I mean, in the past, you might remember the Google engineer who turned futurist, predicting how immortality for humans was going to happen by 2030. Convenient, that's a number they always like to use, right? How we're going to be able to be immortal, whoever in the world would want to be immortal. Now, I love eternal life with our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, but I'm not really too interested about being immortal on earth with the reprobates running around. And I mean, these people are going to want to be immortal, so just imagine the torment that they're going to endure when they're getting stung by scorpions forever. But here we go. Let's take a look at what the schools are going to be what they are going to look like according to a Google futurist. So by 2050, as if we'll still be here, but I mean, we don't know. So we probably could still be here, but we would all hope that the trumpets would sound by then. But goodness gracious, 2050 is what, 27 years from now? I don't think I'll be alive, but some of you will be. So by 2050, students will download knowledge directly into their brains from AI tutors with no human teacher present, and receive lessons tailored to their DNA. A futurist has predicted. I mean, people would just hear this stuff and think, oh, interesting, cool, neat, because they're all indoctrinated with technology and how great and wonderful technology. It's a long, far cry from social studies, when you learn a lot of lies about the history of the world, and math class, where you're learning multiplication, and then going to phys ed and climbing the rope in gym class, getting your hands all cut up. I don't even think they do that stuff anymore in phys ed. I'm sure they just probably sit around and everybody talks about their feelings now. But could you imagine when we were all in school, that they were talking about, and I know there's people out there who still are in school who are younger, but you could let us know in the comment section what's going on in these institutions, in these prison cells. When we were in school, they were talking about lessons tailored to our DNA. And they talk about this stuff and people are just like, oh, that sounds interesting. It sounds very intellectual and smart. It sounds very demonic. So virtual reality will be the main mode of learning for many subjects. And the most important subject students will learn will be how to work as a cobot along alongside AI, said Tracy Follows, a futurist who has worked with clients including Google, Virgin, and Telefonica. Follows, who is listed as one of the top female futurists worldwide in Forbes, said that even classrooms might be a thing of the past as students self-teach with help of AI tutors. And this gets creepier. Follows produced a white paper on the subject in collaboration with online tutoring service Go Student, and said that while her predictions may seem out there, they are not science fiction. She told the Daily Mail that AI teachers will allow students a new perspective that we can merge with our own human perspective. So let me just reread that. I stuttered a second there. She told Daily Mail, AI teachers will allow students a new perspective that we can merge with our own human perspective. So there we go. The mixing of iron and clay. Right? Like in the Bible, you know that book they tell us isn't real? It's right in Daniel chapter 2, verse 43. As you saw iron mixed with ceramic clay, they will mingle with the seed of men, but they will not adhere to one another, just as iron does not mix with clay. The mixing of men and machine, man and technology. This is what's occurring right now. This will give them the things that they desire. And the zombies who survive what's coming, obviously, with a lot of the poison put inside them, if it takes, of course, well, they'll be mixing themselves with technology. Again, I've showed all the predictive programming, right? Where we've gotten, think about how the phone has evolved to the watch, to the eye lens, okay, to all these other things. It's eventually going to be microscopic and in you. And that'll be embedded in your DNA, just like this article's telling you, right? But we're crazy conspiracy theorists, so what do we really know? So they're literally telling us that they're saying the main subject will be how to work alongside AI. So first you get AI and humans working hand in hand, and then saying, well, why can't we just merge them? Well, they're already pretty much saying that, but they really want to merge your kids with these things, right? So getting your children indoctrinated with AI as if, humans are bad, but AI is good, right? And they show these creepy pictures of these demons, because that's, if you listen to the videos I've done on quantum computing, okay, and summoning these, the guy Gordie Howie or whatever his name is, Howdy Doody, that loser. He had a bunch of, he does all these videos about quantum computing and summoning spirits, pretty much, he's talking about, into these things that they have to keep cold. Isn't it interesting they're trying to cool the earth too? Huh? Think about that. Those things coincide, and those will be separate videos I do. I've done some in the past about the cooling of the earth and the quantum computing and these things being able to survive in colder weather. We've seen a lot of predictive programming in movies with how it needs to be cooled down. So we always hear them say, what? Cooling the earth, right? Well, it's to cool the earth to bring over what's on the other side and let it survive here on this side, right? Think about that. So they want kids to be, look at the AI. Oh, like how many movies have we seen where there's a kid and artificial intelligence? Yes, we've seen the ones where they, like Megan, where they show the AI turning on the humans and stuff. But everyone's, they show you that stuff, but everyone's desensitized because it's a horror movie, just like the same as demonic possession. Nobody believes it's actually true. But they want to get kids so indoctrinated and work alongside AI so eventually they can have the AI inside their bodies. And we know that adults will do the same thing and they'll be on board. They'll be like, this is great. So she predicts that the new subjects such as interstellar studies and biotech will become popular as humanity moves towards becoming an interplanetary species. I mean, is anyone paying attention? Who gave these people the right to do this? Nobody, right? But, they try to shame you almost into technology. How often do we hear them make it sound like it's weird if somebody's not on social media? I always say that, right? How badly do they make you sound weird if you don't have a phone? I actually was somewhere within the last month, I forget where I was, and I was hours away from where I reside, and I didn't bring my phone because I didn't want to bring my phone because the phone that I have is just pretty much for emergency, and it's pretty dated too. So if anyone ever sees my phone, I get jokes cracked about me. I've had to move on from the flip because they wouldn't let me use the flip anymore. They shut them all off, but I don't even want a cell phone. They only have it for the benefit of other people who, family members and stuff, because I get guilted into the fact, everybody knows how it is. So even I have to, compromise with that, even though it's in a Faraday bag. But I go places, I don't bring it with me. Because if I break down or something happens, like, well, figure it out. I'll figure it out like people would, normally would do. But people, their minds get blown. You didn't bring your phone? Your phone's not with you? Oh my goodness, what is wrong with you? That is weird. Yeah, no, it's actually the other way around. And that's not for me to that's not me patting myself in the back. It's just very, very weird that suddenly all these people that just don't even realize that they can survive without technology, but they actually probably can't now because they wouldn't even know what to do. They have no books. They don't know what to do, right? Imagine when the grid gets shut down and crap hits the fan. No one's going to know how to do anything because everything they do, they Google search. Did anyone ever think about that? Right? So they don't have books and resources to say, wait, how can I farm? How can I do these things? How can I get by? How can I find water, drinkable water? Right? Because they'll be starting to think about those things, even though they've taken it for granted, and they won't be able to Google search. So they'll just go, short circuit, no pun intended. So this goes on to say the number one skill taught to students in the future will be how to work alongside AI as a sort of cobot. She said, I think the biggest skill will be working alongside AI, how to interact with AI, how to get out of the AI what you want, and how to take on board what recommendations AI might be making to you. So that's also going to be, there's going to be people in relationships with these things. I mean, the insanity that's going to ensue here with AI, it's unbelievable. They promote AI like it's the greatest thing ever. In reality, it's inverted, right? Everybody should be freaked out by this stuff. Everybody should be like, no way. We're letting them take our jobs, which is taking livelihoods, which just shows you the mindset of the hive mind liberal Democrats out there. Like they're okay with humans not being able to have money to pay for food and all that stuff because a lot of them don't have jobs. So they rely on all of us who work. There are tax money so they can eat and play video games all day. But also they just don't seem to care about how AI is taking jobs away from their fellow man because their brains just do not function. The only thing they think about is hurting people's feelings because people are so weak and pathetic. It's very embarrassing at this point. So nobody's worried about the fact that we have AI. Now they're just talking about AI hanging out with your kids. And people are like, oh yeah, that's great. Oh, because the AI couldn't like kill your kid or do some type of sick act with your kid, right? It's a computer. It doesn't think like a human does. Yeah, well, I wonder what's inside of that circuit board in there, right? What do they summon in there? People just refuse to actually believe it. They just think it's like a computer sitting on a desk. These things are programmed by wicked, evil people, okay? And they want them to hang around your kids and now teach your kids. Because, of course, they're going to be presented as perfection. Oh, computers don't make mistakes. Oh, computers don't feel the sick traits that humans do, et cetera, et cetera. They don't even know what they're dealing with and what they're allowing into their homes. And at this point, most people have allowed all of this tech into their homes, which is enslaving them. So she said the biggest thing will be working alongside AI. Collaborative working with machines is going to be the number one skill. It's very underestimated right now because people think that they know how to do it, but actually they don't. Lessons delivered directly into the pupils' brains, right? So that's what we need. So in other words, you're going to have technology in your body and you're going to be downloading things into your brain. So that sounds real safe, right? We trust the people and where we're downloading from. You ever download remember when they had like LimeWire and Kazaa? Remember those where you download like illegal music? And remember that whole big thing? Right? And you would like try to download something and it was like a bad download and it wouldn't be what you were trying to download. And that would probably bother you then. You'd be like, what in the world? This is a crappy download. This isn't even what I tried to download. Well, here, people will just be downloading stuff into their brain and they'll automatically be trusting where they're downloading it from, right? Because we all trust the government, right? We all trust the school system, the same ones who want to get drag queens in the classroom. So they'll be downloading information. Does this sound safe? Of course not. Does this sound like free will? Of course not. Why? Because it's not. So by 2050, students could learn simply by being plugged into a computing device. And I've shown you all the technology over the years of humans being plugged into their tech as far as literally plugging in. And we know that a lot of people are plugged in now because they put something in their body. So they're really hooked up to the Internet of Bodies. Catch my drift? So she goes on to say the work that's going on with the brain-computer interface at the moment is much more advanced than the public realize. Well, I realize it. They say in China, you've already got neurotechnology that reads brainwave data embedded into the caps of, miners, construction workers, train drivers, etc. I've spoken to the founders of lots of companies who are creating this technology, and they believe that it will be embedded into everything from our headphones to our cycling helmets to some of the systems that we might be using. Why wouldn't it be used in the classroom or outside the classroom? Well, it wouldn't be used. Why wouldn't it be used? Because, people would stop it. It shouldn't be used. Let's be real. And this is what we're getting to. This is this is going to be a real war that goes on. And everybody needs to keep their kids away from these people. These people are psychopaths, okay? And all of us who are older can speak on this. Unless you go to college and you learn a specific trade, it's pretty much worthless, Okay, you could self-teach yourself trades. You can if you want to learn how to farm, for example, I don't know, most universities don't teach that, right? I know they have agriculture classes, et cetera, okay? You'd be better off just finding a farmer and paying the farmer to go through a month or two, or a year's worth of learning from the farmer, right? You'll learn quicker, faster, and you'll have a trade that will do you well in the world. So in the school system, you learn nothing. So now the fact that they'll be able to not only control what you learn in the school, but literally be able to download poison into your mind, that doesn't sound like a great idea. So everybody needs to keep their kids away from these psychopaths. And this ties into, which I never understood, how anyone could be a socialist or a communist or anything that the Democrats represent, because they literally feel like your kids are theirs and they have a right to get around here. And, they'll keep running their mouth saying these things so they show up on your front door and try to access your kid. Well, but then they'll be met by a problem. That's for sure, right? We all know that. Come to my door and tell me you want me to learn this stuff? Yeah. Or you want me hooked up to a device? Oh, yeah, come on in. Let me make you a cup of coffee. Right? Give me a break. Bam! How about that? All right? So they say lessons will be personalized to pupils' DNA. So this is what I wanted to get into here. By 2050, parents might be able to have their children's DNA tested to find out if they are better at some subjects and receive a personal... Who's to tell you that they're better at some subject based on the DNA? They're going to tell you you're better because you have something inside your body that's going to hook you up directly to Bluetooth, et cetera, et cetera. But they're saying parents might be able to have their children's DNA tested to find out if they're better at some subjects and receive a personalized lesson based on that. Governments might step in to force children to do the subjects they are born to be good at. You believe this? How are we allowing the government to dictate this stuff? I get it. They're protected by the army, but aren't people willing now at this point to die for this cause, for humanity? Where it's like, well, they have an army in front of them. Well, people in like the Civil War, all these other wars, whether you believe a lot of it's true or not, what they're based off of, we can only speculate because we don't believe anything that they tell us at school. Let's be real. But any war that's ever occurred, people are willing to lay their lives down. How are people not willing to lay their lives down for this? Right? So you might say, well, they have a military. All right, well, we have more numbers. So would it be for the betterment of humanity and just to spite these people, to stop these people who are psychopaths? That should be the mindset that we all have. Right? They're like, our understanding of DNA and the governments are going to step in to force children to do the subjects that they were born to be good at. In other words, to force children to do the subjects the government wants you to learn, right? The government's going to just tell you that you were born to do this. And they're just going to give you whatever they need, whatever field that they want in their New World Order government. They're like, you were born to do this. And some idiot's going to be like, I was born to do this. Okay, I'll do it. Tell me. Let me download all of your propaganda into my brain so I can become a complete robot for you. Literally becoming robots. They say if you find that your child has got a genetic predisposition to something, then potentially you might say, well, actually, then we want to start to build an education plan around that. Or the state might step in and say, we want the most productive, most economically strong workforce. And if they understand what skills a child has a propensity for, to at least try and work one of those into your personalized curriculum. So, could you hear what I said? The state might step in and say they want the most productive, most economically strong workforce. So they're going to take control over what your kid learns and groom your child. No. How about no? How about not only no, this is not happening around any of our families, any of our children, any of our friends' children, any of our parents, whatever, any of our family. No, that's the answer to this. And I would die for that cause. You psychopaths, you sick, psychotic, low-life losers. Take all the money and the riches that you have and go to an island and do what you want, except, of course, for a certain thing you're not allowed to do because we will come after you if you do that, even though you are doing it and we don't know about it because we can't find where you people are because you're underground and protected by the military. But just get away from us. But they won't. And what's crazier is it's not just the elites. It's these people who have hive minds in our society. They literally follow what they say and they want into our household. So while the elites might be protected, those people aren't. And if they try to make moves like this, it's not going to end well for them. They say many lessons will be delivered in virtual reality. Of course, talked about this many times in the meta. From lessons about the dinosaurs, oh yeah, right, the dinosaurs, wake, to going inside human bodies for anatomy lessons. Well, they're already inside of those too. We're inside the human body, literally, right now, a lot of people. So for some subjects, VR will be the primary mode of learning. Follows, that's the woman. Follows pointed out that VR is already used to train nurses and paramedics, and by 2050, children will expect to be taught in virtual worlds. And again, they are going to do everything they can. They're going to make it law that you have to do this stuff. You know, you're not going to be able to. So pretty much what it means, you're going to have to midwife, have a child, the way that they do, right? So if you have, I know I'm long into the video here, but let me just recap. A lot of the witches and Satanists have kids. You never even know that they breed them and then they sacrifice them. So nobody even knows the kid was ever born or existed. So we have to almost take something out of their playbook in the future and have midwives, and people who are pregnant need to lay low and have the baby and lay low and not get a social security card or number and not get a birth certificate, because anybody who has these things, they're going to target and try to get in there. Now, of course, I know it's hard to avoid those things when you have birth in a hospital, which most people do, right? Whether you need to have a C-section or you need to, if the baby's flipped upside down, whatever that's called. You know, you have to have a C-section, I believe. Those types of things go on. So there's a lot of people who have to have births in a hospital, and then they push this stuff on you, right? So then they could figure out who has kids, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, they could say, look, you have a kid, you have to raise them this way. This is, it's child abuse, right? And right now we're not at that point, but look how they're starting to push these things about, parents not being able to raise their kids because they won't let them affirm their genders, et cetera, et cetera. It's all utter insanity. So you don't think that they're going to be able to roll in here and say, oh, well, you're abusing your child by not teaching him curriculum. He's not going to be better off and smart in the world. He's going to be very behind these other kids, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we have a right as a state to come in if your parents' mental health is a problem because they're conspiracy theorists and think we're bad even though we want your kids. They're just crazy people. We're going to come take your kids. But like I said, over our dead bodies, are they going to touch anybody? Without, look, there's parents that willingly are obviously going to submit their kids to this. And you got to pray for those kids because the parents, the blood's on their hands. They're so stupid and narcissistic that they don't see what's happening. So this woman goes on to say, we have a generation of children growing up who are already learning lots of things in different environments through virtual gaming and virtual worlds, conditioning, ladies and gentlemen. When they suddenly go to school or they want to learn subjects on new skills, they'll be taking that with them. So there'll be an expectation on a generation that they will learn in simulated virtual worlds. And again, that's what they're doing right now with this stuff. They're grooming these kids with all of that type of crap, right? Fortnite, all these games. I don't know anything about them, so I don't know if they're VR games. But I do know a little bit about the games as far as stories I've covered in the past or things I've seen where, people are online in these games and they literally think, you remember some of the losers I've made fun of on this channel or other channels. Some of these dorks who constantly do videos on me trying to get my channel shut down, which I guess might work, but they're never going to shut me down, so I don't care. They literally live in these video games and then they create animes of themselves. They're literally, not only are they losers, they're psychopaths and they're unstable and they're unhinged and they need to be committed, but they're grooming kids this way so that it's a seamless, transition from the gaming world into schools, and then they'll like schools more. They'll be like, you hear all these propaganda stories about, the kids love school more. They don't want to miss a day of school because they love interacting through VR versus sitting at a desk with a book because, again, they don't even want any kids to read at this point. They only want them to get this stuff pushed right into their head directly through propaganda. So the school of the future may not have physical classrooms with pupils opting to self-teach with the help of professional AI tutors. She said, we see it through, people listening to podcasts. We see it through people watching how-to videos on YouTube. In 10 or 20 years, we'll be using personalized AI to learn the person or the subjects that we are most interested in or that can be most advanced, that can most advance us in our chosen area of interest or work or whatever. So why would one need to be in a physical classroom? These digital technologies decentralize everything, so actually education in the future will be seen as much more of an activity that is networked than a physical place. And that's something that you just saw with the outbreak, which I covered, right? We all know this. The outbreak was to condition people to imprisonment. It was obviously to poison people. There's so many things behind it, right? But one of the things was getting everybody used to doing stuff through Zoom, through AI. So they're going to continue to do this. We know the next wave is coming, and I'll be talking about it on the website, Uprising Revival, okay? And they're going to be conditioning you to do schooling at home. They're just going to keep pushing people. The more they get desensitized to it, the more they say, that's a thing of the past. No one will remember that people used to learn in schools. Everything will be through AI in your prison cell known as your home. And they'll have direct control and access to your child's mind through all of this stuff, eventually downloading and eventually with your DNA. So this is what we're headed towards unless we stop it from happening. I think we're getting close to maybe we should stop it from happening. Okay, this is a cause probably worth dying over. These people are sick. You can see that these people have no souls. Most of these people in the tech world obviously are politicians. They're psychopaths. And, well, we all know this is biblical, right? The mixing of iron and clay. So, very, very frightening, but not something that's shocking at this point if you've been awake for a while. Ladies and gentlemen, please heed my warning that I put up earlier in the video, and make sure you sub to my backup channels now. This is the end of the video, so please now just pause the video, stop the video, click those three, the multiple channels below, 2 channels below, Uprising Revival and United Uprising, and sub to them now. I have a new video up on United Uprising if you want a little giggle. I need to build out over there. I need subs, I need watch hours, so I need your help. So please help me out and do that now. I thank you for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless all of you as always, and your families.